In 2025, 1440p gaming monitors are incredible value, with great budget 1440p gaming monitors starting at just $140, 240Hz 1440p gaming monitors at under $300, and incredible OLED 1440p gaming monitors starting at just $500. Welcome back to PC Builder, I'm Jason. In this best 1440p gaming monitor video, we'll cover the basics of what you need to know to buy an incredible gaming monitor for PC or console, and we'll make specific product recommendations for every budget level. If you get value out of this video, please give it a like as it really helps out. Let's jump into it. So what key specs do you need to understand to find the best 1440p gaming monitor in 2025? Now at this resolution, there are three main aspect ratios. The most common are widescreen gaming monitors with a 16:9 aspect ratio, meaning that for every 16 pixels wide, you have 9 pixels in height. 1440p ultrawide gaming monitors are also popular for PC gaming with an aspect ratio of 21:9. But console gaming doesn't always support the wider aspect ratio. And super ultrawide gaming monitors, like the Samsung Odyssey G9 OLED, are 32:9. Basically 2 widescreen monitors in horizontal size. One of the most important things to understand is monitor refresh rate. That's basically how many maximum frames per second, or FPS, a monitor can display. Now that's expressed in Hertz, or Hz for short. Budget mid-range gaming monitors, they typically start around 144 to 180 Hz. 240Hz gaming monitors are popular for PC gaming esports, and some 1440p gaming monitors boast 360 Hz, even up to 480 Hz. Now you still need a graphics card capable of outputting that many frames. And remember, the consoles can only do 120 Hz max, so don't overspend for just console gaming. Now should you use an HDMI or Displayport cable when connecting your 1440p gaming monitor? Well, for console gamers, you only have HDMI. And for 1440p 120 Hz, you want the monitor to have at least HDMI 2.0 along with a cable that's capable of that. Luckily, most new gaming monitors come with this. For PC gamers, my recommendation, use that Displayport cable as it can enable up to 240 Hz and higher refresh rates. Displayport is also going to ensure that if you have an NVIDIA GPU, that it correctly uses the VSync component of the AMD FreeSync, which is what most gaming monitors use in 2025 to prevent screen tearing during gameplay. So what console or PC graphics card do you need to power your 1440p gaming monitor at good frame rates? Well, for console, any of the current generation, PS5, PS5 Pro, Xbox Series X or S, those are all good for 1440p at 120 Hz, which is the maximum. For PC graphics cards, I would generally recommend a graphics card as powerful as an RX 7600, RTX 4060, or Intel Arc B570 for 1440p gaming at high to medium settings. There's also the amount of VRAM or video RAM to consider as well, and I typically recommend 12 gigs of VRAM for 1440p, but depending on the games you play, you can do with less. Remember, the types of games you play make a big difference here. Hard to run titles like Black Myth Wukong, it might struggle at 1440p ultra settings on your PC, while playing a game like CS2 or Valorant might get tons of FPS at 1440p using competitive settings. We do a best GPU to buy every month, so I'll leave that series link down in the video description if you're also thinking about a new GPU. Let's talk about IPS versus VA versus OLED panel types 1440p gaming monitors. Now IPS, it's largely the dominant technology for budget and mid-range 1440p LCD gaming monitors, though there are still some monitors that use VA very well, like the Samsung G6 and a lot of the budget monitors by ASRock. Now these panels can be found starting at less than $200 US, with higher refresh rate panels starting under $300 US. In 2025, OLED gaming monitors really shine. They've come down substantially in price, and they can be found at refresh rates ranging from 165 Hz to now more common 240 Hz, even 360 Hz and 480 Hz as well. Now while traditional VA and IPS LCD panels, they can look great, OLED, it just takes things to the next level with infinite contrast, deep blacks, near instantaneous response times, and amazing motion clarity, and they start just around the $500 price point at the time of filming. Let's jump into our product recommendations for best 1440p gaming monitors in 2025. Now everything's linked down in the video description. We update those deals daily. Things sell out, new deals pop up, so check out the video description for the current best deals. Deals listed with a fire emoji in front of them, those are particularly good ones in that category that might sell out or change. If there's 2 fire emojis, that means it's a great deal regardless of category. Let's jump to the best budget 1440p gaming monitor in 2025. Basically, look at the price on this thing. It's crazy how cheap these have become. Really, these are the best cheap 1440p gaming monitors in 2025. What are you going to get for that price? Well, $140 about to $180 is the price range we're looking at. Anything more than that, we definitely also want to double check the mid-range picks. We've got everything linked down in the video description. Check those out before you just pick up one of the cheap ones, because sometimes the mid-range ones will come down on a sale, and I would pick one of those up. What are we getting here? It's features as a gaming monitor. It's acceptable. It's not exceptional. It's not bad, but it's an acceptable level, because there's a lot of garbage that basically gets sold on the market at this price point. So I'm going to give you 3 picks that I know are super solid and that I would invest my money in. Let's start off with the PG27Q15 R2A by ASRock. ASRock, new to gaming monitors, they're basically buying their way in for name recognition. That's why you're getting such an incredible deal on this. Now, this one's curved and it's VA, but it has a much better stand than the flat IPS one I'm about to show you. So this is a great one. It's got good motion handling on it. Despite the fact that it's a relatively cheap VA panel, it doesn't have any of that black smearing to it, so 2 thumbs up. Overall, this is a monitor that I would pick up, especially if I needed better ergonomics out of it and I didn't mind a curved monitor. Let's jump into flat IPS panels here. The ASRock Phantom PG27QFT1B. This is like their second generation kind of take on gaming monitors. We just looked at the first generation, which is still good, but this one is slightly better, except the stand it comes with is, quite honestly, it's hot garbage. The stand only does tilt, basically. I would probably invest in at least a $20 monitor arm with it. I do like monitor arms quite a bit. I'll leave one link down in the video description you can check out, because this is a 180 Hertz refresh rate flat IPS panel. The color on it is better than the VA. Contrast obviously is going to be slightly worse. That's just typical VA versus IPS panels out there. In terms of motion handling, slightly better as well. Overall, I think this is a slightly better monitor, but you can see it's back ordered here for $142. And right now, these ASRock monitors are only available at Newegg in the US. Moving over to a panel with wider availability, let's talk about the KTC H27T22S. $176, a little bit more expensive than it typically runs, but not terrible in terms of its overall price. Very similar to the ASRock monitor in terms of its motion handling, input lag, color gamut. They're all good, but not exceptional. The one thing, just like the ASRock monitor, the stand is hot garbage. It's just got a tilt to it. So I would definitely replace it again with that $20 monitor arm. Again, I don't love this monitor at $176. I would probably look for it to be a little bit cheaper, but this is within an acceptable price. Another typically good pick though right now, not at $199 price, I'd like to see it down to $170 where it usually sits, is the Acer Nitro XV271U. Now this one, not quite as bright as the other panels. However, better motion handling to them, and the stand on this is not hot garbage. It actually has height adjustment, swivel, and tilt as well. So 2 thumbs up on that. Now, the good thing about this monitor, there's a couple different versions. This is the one you want to get at a 180 Hertz refresh rate. There's also the Acer Nitro XV272U, which does get slightly brighter. However, don't pick up any of the 240 Hertz, 270 Hertz, or 300 Hertz panels. It's the same panel, they've just overclocked it too much, and it has a lot of ghosting to it. So you want to get the 180 Hertz, and you typically want to pick this up closer to about $180. Let's jump to the best 1440p gaming monitor in the mid-range for LCD panels. We will get to OLED, and we will get to 240 Hertz in just a moment too. We're still sticking it out with panels more in that 165 to 180 Hertz refresh rate. This is the monitor right here that has pretty much destroyed everything else in the mid-range. Now it's $299. It used to sit at $270. It's gone up because it's being phased out for a cheaper model, but I want to start with this one because you can still pick this one up in a lot of places. You can still pick it up at a decent price. $299 is a little expensive here. And that's the AOC Q27G3XMN. This is a VA panel, and the great thing about this panel, it's a higher end VA panel, is it has fantastic local dimming zones and incredible HDR to it for an LCD panel. Obviously, nothing's going to touch HDR on OLED, but this is a notable step in between. Now, $299, this is a great monitor. It's got a USB hub on it. It's got a great stand on it, including height, tilt, and swivel to it. It's got Displayport 1.4, HDMI 2.0. Honestly, just about everything that you need. And I would urge you to try and pick this one up if you can, but it is being phased out in favor of this panel right here, which is the Q27G40XMN. Now, what's the difference? Like Jason, they all look the same. So slightly better local dimming zones to it, so slightly better HDR to it. Otherwise, the panel largely the same. And honestly, the big problem with this one is it's a little bit more plasticky. They're clearly trying to cut the price on this to respond to the fact that monitor prices are falling out there. It's $249. It's only available at Best Buy right now. It just came out. Should get to Amazon and other stores soon. And remember, check those links down in the video description for all of this. They have cut the USB hub off of it, and they've also given it a hot garbage stand with only tilt to it. So you will need to replace this with a monitor arm. That's why if you can find the other one, the older panel, still out there for a competitive price, I would probably pick that one up instead, so I don't have to do that. But if you don't mind, grab this one instead. Now, the big challenge for everybody else in the monitor space is how do you compete with this? It actually has some HDR to it. Well, they don't. And in fact, a lot of the panel makers, you see them completely liquidating off their older panels. So I want to show you some of those out there because I can't even find the Gigabyte M27Q in the United States anymore. And a lot of the MSI panel that I was recommending also completely liquidated off the market. But you can find some things like the Alienware AW2724DM. This is a fantastic 1440p gaming monitor. Will not have the HDR capabilities that we were just talking about, but it is also flat IPS if that's what you want. And at a price of $199, this is really, really good. But a lot of those older, kind of more mid-range and even higher end, they were considered back then, 1440p game monitors are selling out right now. So I would either look for a deal like this or just pick up that AOC instead. Jumping into the best 1440p 240Hz gaming monitor. So these are LCD, not OLED. We will get to the OLED ones. Let's start off with my honorable mention here. This is the AOC CQ27G3Z 27-inch. It's a curved VA panel, very reminiscent of the Samsung Odyssey G7, the older VA 1440p panel that I used to call the best gaming monitor on the planet because it's very, very good. Typically does not sell for $289. I don't know what's going on with the price right now. You can usually find this closer to about $240 to $250. And if you're really just kind of stretching for every dollar, definitely worth the look-see, especially it's got a great stand to it. But I will say flat IPS is hot on its heels. Let's jump to the best 1440p 240Hz flat IPS gaming monitors out there. I'm going to give you 4 different options. How much should you spend? I think $270 up to $330. That's it. You can typically find these under $300 for one of these models. If you want to get the top one that I'm going to recommend here, it's usually this one, and it's usually a little bit more expensive. But what's the difference between them? Honestly, there's not a lot of difference. All of them have exceptional motion handling. They all have got good color gamuts. They've all got really, really good on the input lag. They've all got pretty good contrast for IPS panels. Really, the only differences are some of the ancillary features here, and that's what's going to separate them out. Let's start off with the LG Ultra Gear here. Now, this monitor has a USB hub. It probably has slightly better motion handling than the others. Again, I wouldn't pay extra just for that, but it does have a USB hub. It's got a nice stand on it with height, swivel, and tilt adjustment as well. Typically, this is one of the most popular 1440p 240Hz monitors out there, but I would not buy it at $360. Usually we'll get down to closer to $325, $290 on sales. I would look for it there. Another great one is the Gigabyte M27Q-X. $279. This is the one I would pick up today. It is basically the equal of the LG Ultra Gear that we just looked at. LG may be slightly better on the motion. Honestly, nothing that anyone would ever really notice. And this one has some additional features. It's got the Gigabyte's KVM switches, so you can use the same keyboard and mouse across multiple devices. It's got a USB hub. It's got a really nice stand on it, tilt, height, and swivel adjustment as well. However, it does look like Gigabyte is starting to phase this one out in terms of a cheaper monitor with really cut down features. And that monitor is the Gigabyte GS27QXA. Now, what have they cut down? Well, there's no USB hub on it. The stand is hot garbage and you should replace it because it just has tilt on it. Again, you can get a $25 to $40 monitor arm for this instead. And then they've also cut off the KVM switches. So it's the same panel, but they're just trying to make it much cheaper, and they're selling it regularly at $269. So oftentimes those other monitors will kind of be a little silly priced, up to $330, sometimes $350, and there'll be a nice big gap. At that point, I would pick this one up. I'd get the monitor arm and I'd 2 thumbs up. Another monitor I like quite a bit is the HP Omen 27QS. Now, $479 is insane. Yesterday it was $249. That's the thing. Check those links in the video description because it's like every other day one of these monitors goes on sale for a really, really good price. $249 is really, really crazy. And this gaming monitor, pretty much the equal of the LG in terms of the motion handling and everything else. The stand has a height and tilt adjustment to it, swivel as well, so 2 thumbs up there. And it also does have a USB hub. I really like this one quite a bit. And this is probably the one that goes on sale the most often. Let's jump in the best 1440p OLED gaming monitors of 2025. Now, why would you get an OLED gaming monitor? For about $500, why would you invest that over an LCD that you can get for about half the price, sometimes even a little bit less? Well, OLED gaming monitors have incredible contrast. They've got incredible HDR to them. Really, the kind of gaming experience that you get on OLED, especially when you're using HDR, is second to none. And it really makes LCD gaming monitors seem like kind of a pale comparison out there. That being said, obviously you're spending 2 to 3 times as much in some cases for the gaming monitor, so that there's a cost drawback there. There's also some other drawbacks, which is that you can get burn-in on your OLED gaming monitor if you're primarily using this for office work, right? If you've got like Google Sheets open all the time, if you've got tons of spreadsheets, and that's mostly what you're doing with this, you should not be buying an OLED gaming monitor for that. Go back to an LCD. Those will not burn in. If you're mostly consuming content, if you're mostly gaming on this, you got nothing really to worry about. They should be just fine. I would definitely not get any of the 1st or 2nd generation panels. I would at least get one of the 3rd generation panels that I'm going to show you, because the OLED care and the cooling on these and the way they handle the pixels and the text clarity has significantly improved in them. How much should you look to spend? Well, right now, as I'm filming this, the cheapest ones start about $520. On sales, sometimes you'll find them about $499, $479 sometimes. So right around there, and again, depends on the time of the year and sales. Now, there's a difference in terms of features. One big feature difference, because almost all of them use the QD OLED panel from Samsung, really in terms of the motion handling and everything else, you're gonna get a very similar product. One of the big differences is, are you gonna get a glossy panel versus a matte panel? I don't really think there's a big difference between them two, but if you do, you can certainly bring that in. Let's start off with this panel. This is the AOC Q27G4ZD. This is a 27-inch panel. They're all 27-inch, and these are 240 hertz. The lower end ones, or I should say the entry-level ones, are all going to be 240 hertz now. They have phased out the lower refresh rate ones, unless into the ultra-wide, which we'll get to later. This is a good panel. However, I will note this, along with its predecessor, which I also might recommend here, have slightly muted HDR colors. Hasn't really been a big deal for anybody that I've seen who's bought it, but just something to note. If you want better color saturation using HDR, spend a little bit more money, closer to $600. We'll go through some of those panels here. This has a nice little USB hub. It's got 2 USB ports, and this has HDMI 2.0, not 2.1, HDMI 2.0, which is absolutely fine if you're using a console out there. For those of you who are PC gaming, use the Displayport on it instead. This is a monitor that I would pick up for $520 today. In some regions, you can also find its predecessor, which is the AOC AG276QZD2. This right now, $569. I would not buy it. I'd get the other one because the panels are largely identical. They're phasing this one out in favor of the other one, which is a lower cost. It's a more plasticky body, things like that, because they want to bring the overall manufacturing costs down, because they're now selling these for half of what they originally were 18 months ago, which was about $1,000. Again, still good. It still has that HDR color saturation issue to it. This one is also glossy, but this one often does go on sale and is often available in other regions outside the US. If you want to spend a little bit more money, you want to make sure you have 100% color accuracy in HDR, the full saturation. You want to get slightly better features. I think the stand is better as well. And this is a matte monitor as opposed to the glossy ones that we've just looked at. That's the Gigabyte Aorus FO27Q2. At $599, this would be my automatic pickup right now. Not only does it have Gigabyte's KVM switches, so you can use this monitor with multiple devices using the same keyboard and mouse. It has a USB Type-C to it, and it's got an additional USB port on its USB hub. I think the monitor stand on this one's quite a bit better. It's the Aorus kind of higher end stand to it. $599 is really, really good. And again, this is a matte monitor, not glossy. There are some other alternatives out there. I will list them down in the video description. I will link them as they get full formal reviews and I feel comfortable with their overall package and deal. But just note that a lot of monitor companies right now, especially MSI, are refreshing their QD OLED 1440p 240 hertz panels out there. because originally they expected to sell these for about $1,000, but they're having to sell them right now because of the market for less than $600. So they're swapping things out. So they're going with more plasticky bodies. They're cutting features down anywhere that they can to save a little bit of money. And that's the story of the MSI Mag 273QP. It literally just got introduced and they are retiring, I think it's the MSI Mag 274QPX monitor instead, which had some firmware update issues. They had a second edition of it. But you can find a lot of these new monitors on the market without any formal review. So check the links down in the video description. I will list the best alternatives that I feel comfortable with. All right, let's jump in the best 1440p OLED gaming monitors that are 360 Hertz or even 480 Hertz out there. Now let's talk first about who should be buying these monitors. If you don't want to push huge amounts of frames in esports titles, CS2, Warzone, Fortnite, Valorant, those kinds of titles, then you should be sticking to 240 Hertz because those are the lowest refresh rate level and you're not going to get any additional benefit out of another 120 Hertz or another 240 Hertz in terms of your refresh rate. Remember, you also need the gaming hardware to be able to run this. So consoles are off the table and you really do need quite a high-end GPU to pump out 1440p super high frame rates. But if you've got that, let's talk about the one that you might want to get. So we looked at gaming monitors that were about $600 for about $50 more. We can pick up something like the Samsung Odyssey OLED G60 SD. This is a matte finish on this particular one. It's very similar in terms of its features to the Gigabyte Aorus that we just looked at, but this is 360 Hertz. You basically pick up another 120 Hertz on the refresh rate. $649 is good. This had some VRR flicker issues, as do most of these super high refresh rate monitors. If your frame rates start spiking really high, then lower, then higher, then lower, you might get a little bit of flicker in here. That's just common for these higher refresh rate monitors to them, although they do have anti-flicker technology as well. Another one to take a look at, and the one I would probably pick up if you just want to invest a little bit more money, although there's a 480 Hertz on sale right now that I would get over this. Normally, I would pick this one up. This is the Asus ROG Strix XG27AC DNG. To me, this has like all the kind of custom features. This has a premium stand to it. This has 90 watts of charge on the USB-C, so you can also plug in a gaming laptop or other things, or just your regular laptop into it and get charging off of that. I think this is probably the most premium that I would spend money for in terms of 360 Hertz. All right, here's a great reason to check those links down in the video description to get the current pricing. As I was recording this, the Alienware AW2725DF, fantastic 1440p OLED 360 Hertz gaming monitor just went on sale to $619, even lower than the Samsung. Honestly, this is probably the one that I would pick up even for a small price premium over the Samsung because it had no issues whatsoever with VR flicker. It's been just the absolute most solid gaming monitor out there. And I think in terms of its overall features, it's really got a great stand to it. It's got great additional ports to it. To me, this is just slightly premium in every way. All right, let's just jump through the best 1440p 480 Hertz OLED gaming monitors out there. And I'll give you my top pick, which is going to be the Sony InZone. But let's go through the three that I'm going to compare here. So we're going to take a look at the Sony InZone M10S, which is, again, going to be my top pick for the price. The price is crazy right now. It's on super sale. We'll take a look at the LG 27GX 790A-B, another great option out there, especially if you want DisplayPort 2.1. Both of these come with it. And then we'll also take a look at the Asus ROG Swift PG27AQDP, which is a good option, but it has had some bugs that Asus says they've now fixed with the firmware update. Firmware updates are pretty easy to do on this monitor as well. And the pricing is all over the place on these. Right now, the Sony InZone is at $715. You probably will not normally find it this cheap. I don't know what's going on. This is an insane super sale. Usually it's right up there with the LG and the Asus models out there. Now let's talk about why the Sony was my top pick. It's basically, it hasn't had any bugs. In terms of the other features on it, nothing really stands out. So you don't need DisplayPort 2.1, by the way. With display stream compression, it's the same thing. It's a lossless technology. The only thing it does is it basically counts as two monitors for your GPU. Your GPU either can run, a high-end GPU typically can either run 4 or 3 monitors simultaneously. And if you have a display stream compression running on a super high-end, super high refresh rate monitor like this, it basically counts as 2. That's fine. I don't see that. To me, that's not a big deal because this is probably going to be your primary monitor when you're running it. In terms of the LG, it's just very big and a little bit unwieldy for your desk, although it is kind of got that flat stand to it, which I do like. And I do think it's a fine model, but it tends to be a little bit more expensive. And there's not really that many differences between these two. Honestly, the ASUS Swift, I would pick this one up if it were the cheapest, if it were significantly the cheapest out there, and I would just update the firmware. Because again, this is a great gaming monitor out there. You really can't go wrong with any of these three. The only difference is this does not have Displayport 2.1 ports on it, but again, you don't really need it. So ultimately the choice is up to you. I will list all of them down in the video description. If you're looking for the best ultra-wide 1440p gaming monitor, let me tell you, there's really no better model than the Alienware AW3423DWF. Now, this is an OLED model. This is a QD OLED model. And there's basically two of them. You can either get the older version of this, which is a 165 hertz refresh rate, 34-inch in terms of the overall length of the monitor or the diagonal width of it. Fantastic gaming monitor. It's been out for quite a while, and Dell is just releasing this is $649 for not that much more, for about $120 more. They're now releasing a 240 hertz version of it. This is a fantastic 1440p ultra-wide gaming monitor. People are going to ask, Jason, what about LCDs? I will leave some LCDs listed down in the video description. But to me, they're just not good enough and they're a little too expensive. I would try and spend a little bit more money if you're into ultra-wide gaming monitors and pick up something like this instead. Just remember, mostly for PC gamers out there, the consoles don't really handle the ultra-wide gaming monitors very well. Remember, everything is linked down in the video description. Check out those links for the current best deals in every category. And if you get value out of this video, please give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel, especially this guy right here. And of course, subscribe for more cool PC content. And we'll catch you on the next one.